Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 76th ever Highlight Haven interview. My name is Matthew Heiserman, and today we are joined by four-star high school football recruit Kendall Guervil. Kendall, it's great to have you on.
Yes, I appreciate you for having me here.
Yeah, absolutely. And right off the bat, I just want to start by asking when you first knew that you wanted to play football.
I first, I first knew I wanted to play football since I was 5 years old. It's always been something I wanted to do. I was interested in sport. Just watching my brother play it. That's when I really got into it and seeing his friends. Be in that environment of hard work and
Mhm.
yeah.
Now, when you were first getting into it, did you start off with flag football? Did you go straight to tackle football? What did that look like?
I went straight into tackle football. I didn't start really playing until seventh grade year of middle school.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, now, when you were first getting into it, were you always a defensive lineman or were you more of a utility guy playing all around the field?
I played D line and O line.
Mhm.
Then more my eighth grade year, I see like D line was more of my favorite position to play more, so I stuck with that.
Now, how would you say that little time that you played offensive line kind of helped you understand what an offensive line is thinking when you're going up against one and know what they're going to do in a specific situation?
Definitely, what helps me with definitely seeing their pass sets
Mhm.
and the footwork, what they're about to do, the bucket step they're about to pull, or like I said, if it's going for a pass, they'll drop into their pass set, or if it's a run, they'll take that zone step, and it's pretty easy to read.
Now, as one of the top-rated defensive line in the class of 2026, what's one thing that you really take pride in when it comes to your play style?
I take pride into my play style. Definitely my urgency. Yeah, my
Mhm.
urgency for the game. You know, just for the love of just for the love of the game. Just my get off, my technique, all of that good stuff. That I really take time to put my craft in and work on those things.
Yeah, I love to hear that. And on May 11th, 2023, kind of getting into the recruitment process, you received your first offer from Florida State University. Can you just describe, what it felt like to receive that first offer and what was going through your mind during that moment?
It felt surreal. That first, hearing Coach Norvell call and saying that he wants to offer me was really shocking because I know I had a lot of work to do as a freshman, and I was expecting to get an offer, after my freshman year of football because I did work hard and I did put in time and I did put up some stats. A lot of people noticed.
And which year has been the busiest for recruitment? Would you say it's been sophomore, junior?
Definitely sophomore year.
Mhm.
With all the coaches still coming. Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
sophomore year. Yeah, with all the coaches coming down that time. Getting pulled out of class a lot.
Mhm.
A lot of coaches coming to my practice games,
Yeah.
and a lot of calls, texts received.
Mhm. And you're a junior right now. You've already received around 30 Division One offers from schools such as Texas, Alabama, Michigan, and Georgia. Can you just break down what the recruitment process has been like for you?
Recruitment process has been smooth. A lot of people will be like under pressure with all this stuff, but to be honest,
Mhm.
for me, it's more of an enjoyment to me. You only get this once. A lot of people don't get this opportunity that I get. Uh, yeah, just meeting all these coaches, these great coaches. They've helped me with a lot of things. Like things I could help to improve my game or technique that I could use during the game. But yeah, recruitment process has been good.
Mhm. Now, on April 28th, you narrowed your recruitment down to 10 different schools. When it comes to those 10 schools, are there any that you've been talking to the most or that have really stuck out to you?
Yeah, definitely Texas, Florida, Georgia, and that it's just those three so far.
Mhm,
And Miami that has
mhm.
been reaching the neck out. Actually, Florida and Miami was at my game yesterday. Got chopped it up with both coaches,
Yep.
and yeah, it was nice.
Now you mentioned Florida, and I want to kind of take a deeper look at that. On June 14th, 2023, you received an offer from the Gators, and Florida's obviously your home state. You play football at Fort Myers High School in Florida, and you will be going on an official visit on June 13th. You also attended the Florida Junior Day earlier this year. What has that recruitment looked like for you, and how do you describe the connection you've already been able to build with Florida's defensive line coach, Gerald Chapman?
It's been great. Receiving that offer was, I think, yeah, it was the summer going into my sophomore year. I received that offer after a camp I had went to working out for them, and ever since that, when me, Coach Bill Napier, and the rest of the staff, we've been building building a relationship,
Mhm.
and especially with Coach Chapman. Yeah, we're like family. We're like locked in. So me and Coach Chapman we really have a good bond since day one, since he entered the University of Florida. So yeah.
Yeah. Now, you play high school football in Florida. Two of the schools you mentioned were Florida and Miami that are at the top of your radar. How much do you value distance from home when you're deciding what college you want to eventually play for?
Uh, if to be honest, distance from home really doesn't bother me. I'm willing to play anywhere. I'm willing to go out of state,
Mhm.
where whoever wants to develop, or whoever coach wants to develop me the most, and
Yeah.
is willing to help me get to the next level. So that wouldn't be a big problem when it comes to distance from home.
And out of all the schools you've received offers from, are there any that you would like to try and get out to for a visit that you haven't had the chance to visit already?
Um, definitely, definitely USC.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Trojans. They're pretty nice. Uh, I tried to get up there as much time as I can, but you know, transportation and all this stuff just happening, so it didn't get to work.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you had your spring game last night. Can you just break down what the preparation looked like leading up to that game? And then I know you had a few scouts at the game as well, which you just mentioned. What was that experience like as a whole?
It was good. These last few days of practice, it was good. It was basically just going over our defensive schemes, what we'll be running during the game, and for me, just getting my body right for the game, make sure I'm hydrated, conditioned. Uh, yeah, and having the scout, having my coaches, my D line coaches come watch me was a good feeling. So I could show them, what I would be able to do at their university and what I would, be able to represent in the future.
Now, with the D line coach there, would you say that brought a little more pressure, maybe some motivation, or I guess a mix of both?
Uh, no pressure at all, to be honest. Definitely motivation.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wanted to stand out, show them what I would be able to do if I was, at their university playing for D line.
Yeah, 100%. And now that you're in the off season and your spring game is over, can you just break down what a typical day looks like for you in terms of practicing and training?
Typical day now is just eating healthy,
Mhm.
get my
Yeah.
protein, get my carbs,
Mhm.
working out, you know, basic footwork and lifting weights, and other than that, just having a day to myself, but maybe hang out with some friends and
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And, Florida's obviously home to some of the most competitive high school football throughout the entire country. How does playing that tougher competition help you improve your game? And, what are you able to learn from that as a player?
Playing tougher competition is always a good thing. As a player, I learned that I take it as a good thing because the better comp you play, iron sharpens iron. That's what I go by. So that's what I always take in mind when I play against good competition, is to see as a way that I'm going to get better at my game instead of saying, oh, this is going to be a tough team. This that. Nah, it's none of that. I love the competition because it's going to make me better and make that other player better. So.
Yeah, I love that. And when it comes to offensive linemen, some of their top qualities can include strength, agility, good hand positioning. That said, from your experience as a defensive lineman, what's the toughest type of offensive lineman to go up against? And, what are some of the attributes that those guys typically have?
Uh, I say definitely. I'll say a quick one. Like,
Mhm.
like those quick offensive linemen, like they're different. I'm not gonna lie, especially the ones that have good stabs, footwork, and all. Like, sometimes they'll get a hold of you and quicker than you know, and so you
Mhm.
just gotta be on top of your toes. So,
Is there a specific offensive lineman that you've played that you would recall to be the toughest one you've had to go up against?
um, my sophomore year, I played against this Tampa Catholic offensive tackle.
Mhm.
He was like 5-star highest recruit in the world,
Wow.
the country. Sorry,
Mhm.
I forgot his name, but yeah, he
Mhm.
was definitely quick, agile offensive tackle, and we had few good wrestles against each other.
Now, as a defensive lineman, are you someone who likes to value, I guess, agility a little more, maybe throwing a spin move? Or are you someone who kind of attacks the offensive lineman with more of a bull rush approach, just trying to run through them?
I like to do both. You
Mhm.
know, uh, what's the name? Sorry, I just had a brain freeze. I like to handle both. I
Mhm.
like to do a little finesse spin move, or a little cross chop,
Yeah.
or bull rush to like a rip or whatever. Basic things like that. But yeah, I like to mix it up.
And with just 1 year until college, what are some of the main things you're still trying to improve with your game before you reach that next level?
Uh, I would say, I mean, to me, I would say my technique. A lot of people say my technique is good, but I always feel like there's room of improvement.
Mhm.
No one's perfect, so to me, just getting off faster. I say I have a quick get off,
Mhm.
but I always want to get off faster. There's nothing wrong with that. And like I said, technique, just getting off. It's always room for improvement. Why not take advantage of it?
Mhm. And then in terms of the mental side of football, are there any pregame superstitions or rituals that you have? Maybe you like to listen to a specific kind of music before every game?
Yeah, I just like to listen to just straight rap music. That's
Mhm.
it. Just helps lock in for the game.
Do you have any specific, artists that you like to bump?
Definitely Little Baby.
Mm, mhm,
Yeah, he's one of my tops. Or Rod Wave. Yeah,
mhm. Yeah, I've heard those names, a few times, and
yeah.
are there any defensive linemen in the NFL that you try and take inspiration from or model your game after?
Yeah. He's not in the league anymore, but Aaron Donald, since he's
Yeah.
not in the league, I look at Jalen Carter as one of my favorite defensive linemen right now.
Mhm.
Chris Jones, all those good. Miles Garrett, all those good defensive
Yeah.
linemen.
Now, when you're watching an NFL game, are you focused on the entire game as a whole, or are you really mostly looking at the defensive line throughout the entire game and kind of seeing what they're doing?
Most looking at defensive line,
Yeah.
seeing what they're doing.
Mhm. And what's one thing that you don't think the average fan knows about the defensive line position?
That it's really a tough position. Like
Mhm.
people think it's easy, but it's really not.
Mhm.
Just the things you have to learn, the things you have to do. Especially like your pass rushes. People think you just get off and just attack
Mhm.
the guy when it's nah. That's not all to it. It's way more deeper into the level of that.
And from your experience, what would you say is the best feeling as a defensive lineman? Maybe it's a sack, forced fumble. What's something that always feels good, gets the crowd excited?
Definitely a strip sack.
Mm,
Uh, a tackle for loss. That's the best feeling for me. Just knowing that you caused something, to get your team the
yeah.
ball back is like the greatest feeling to me.
Mhm.
That's feeling.
And during your final year playing high school football, are there any personal goals as well as team goals that you would like to achieve?
Yes, sir. My goal is to at least break the sack record for my school.
Mm,
I forgot what's the number, but that's the goal.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Now, I do have one final question to ask before we wrap things up. What's a random fun fact about yourself, just so the people watching can get to know you a little better at a personal level?
Uh, I mean, I want to say it's a fun fact. Like, I just like to play the game a lot. Just like to chill. I'm really like a
Yeah.
chill person. I don't like to go out really, just homebody. So yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. With that being said, I can't thank you enough for coming on. I really do appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to say to the people watching before we wrap things up?
that's it.
Again, big thanks to Kendall Guervil for being the 76th ever Highlight Haven interview guest. And as always, we will see you next time.